Hi, it's me, Reidy, with another helping to beat the first man for you. And coming up on this week's show, we are joined by musician Alex Ohm on Zooming In. Tales of the Unexpected goes for a little mashup with 4D, and we give you a sneak preview of a brand new feature coming soon. So, roll the titles, let's get this show on the road. So episode 72 then of our little football show, Beat the First Man. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, if you are new on the BTFM bus, please make sure you click the subscribe down below. Make sure you get involved, leave your comments, drop your likes, get involved on social media. We love all your comments on YouTube. I'll reply to every single comment on YouTube, apart from the dodgy links. You know that already. Anyway, let's move on to a little trip to Italy, shall we, on our BTFM bus, as we go and guess how old an old footballer was when his picture was taken. So this week, our man is a goalkeeper. He started his life at Riccione, apologies to my Italian viewers for my crap pronunciations, before spells with Modena and Arezzo. From there, though, he got his big move as he switched to Roma, where he made 175 appearances for the Rome club, and also where this photo was taken. Further spells with Bari, Verona and Sampdoria were had before he called time on his career. He also made 7 appearances for the Italian national squad, including being backup for Dino Zoff at the 1978 World Cup. Not bad credentials at all. But what we want to know, of course, all that's great, when this photo of Paolo Conti was taken, how old was he? Simple as that. Answer to be revealed later on in the show when Ted will be along with, as usual, his best guess. So, with me trailing last week and a full round of fixtures, I think it's time we head over and see how things went in this week's Dad v Lad Fantasy Football. So here we are then, another Dad v Lad Fantasy Football with me, Dad, and Kian. Lad, how are we, Kian?
Not too bad.
Are you ready to go through last week's performances?
They weren't great, but go on.
Okay, so there's no games this weekend, so we're literally just reviewing last weekend. We're not reviewing any transfers, and we thought we'd have a look at the team who got the highest score last week, because that might make some interesting reading. But let's go through last week, and big news, Kian.
Go on.
Your lead's been cut.
Has it? I was expecting it to be fair, because I didn't have a very good week.
So you got 32 points, and I got 40 points.
Oof.
So
what's the gap?
So the gap is still quite a bit, but my main points came. Mope out of 5. In fact, they were all just like 5s and 6s and 7s.
I've got a lot of 2s.
Rudiger had a 7.
Yeah, I got
that. Gabriel had a 6.
Don't have him.
Mount had a 6.
Jota got a 5.
Jota had a 5 for his absolutely shit assist. Not having it.
I've not even seen it.
It was not.
Oh, was that for the penalty? Is that for the penalty? Yeah. Oh, it was a disgraceful decision.
But we both rather brilliantly, Kian, had in our team.
Yeah, well, I've captained him as well, so that's even worse.
Yeah, so that screwed us right over. So, I didn't captain him. I captained Rafinha, who did the square root of F all on Saturday.
Equally as shit.
And can we just point out, in last week's Dad v Lad Fantasy Football, I actually said Newcastle's defence is shit. There's definitely going to be goals. What happened?
None for us. And our keeper decided to throw one in for them.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to point out our next game's against Villa. And Villa's defence is brilliant. They always keep clean sheets. I think they'll keep us out. There's no way we're scoring against Villa. So
Tyrone Mings is a brilliant centre-back.
Yeah, that should sort that one out. So, so there's no transfers this week. So, basically, it was a 40-32 win to me. So, overall, let's have a look. So, you are now on 1,193.
Not too bad.
1,088. So, I'm 105 behind you.
I can't see you catching up. I just can't see it.
Trust me. Here it comes. This is the start of the comeback.
Just can't see it happening.
But somebody, I got 40 and you got 32. The average was 30. Right? Some smart ass got
I've just clicked.
100 points
I've just
last
clicked
week.
his team. I've just clicked his team, and he's still got a player to play as well.
Yeah, so let's have a look at his team. So he had De Gea in goal, 6 points.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, 8 points. Cancelo, 2 points. Laporte. I mean, how many goals does Laporte? He never scores. Laporte, 10 points. Robertson, 11 points. Ziyech never scores or does anything. 11 points. Bowen, 2 points. Rafinha, 2 points. De Bruyne is captain, 16 points. I mean, imagine if his shot had gone in off the post as well, rather than bouncing away.
I know, yeah. Which is a great strike.
Wow, Pedro of Watford. Who's got him? Who has got him in their team?
Well, I wish I had him over Dennis.
And he had Daka as well. We got 9. But he also played his bench boost.
I've just seen that as well.
Kepa, 8 points. Edouard, 8 points. Greenwood, 3 points. Cresswell, 2 points. I
think he's got about as much points on the bench as I got in my whole team now.
It's bordering on cheating.
I reckon he works for them.
He must do. There's something dodgy going on there. No one has got that team as a real team.
No, not a chance.
So anyway, so there's no fantasy football this weekend, kids. So I think we're going to have a bit of fun instead. So Saturday in the Championship, let's pick out the game of the weekend in the Championship. Let's have
a Derby player.
I don't know. Do we have to go down to League 2 for that one yet?
The Evo stick.
Derby playing on Sunday. So Derby Birmingham. Your prediction for Derby Birmingham?
Both liquidating a couple of days later, I'd imagine.
Good chance of one of them.
Yeah, big chance. But Derby seem to keep winning.
Yeah.
And it's like they're not actually that good. But Birmingham are equally as shit.
Yeah.
2-2.
I'm going to go 1-0 Derby. I think they're going to spawn another win. And we'll do the other game as well. So there's 2 games on Sunday. We'll do Cardiff, Notts Forest as well.
And I'm not going to like you calling them Notts Forest.
I don't care. I don't like them.
No, I don't like them either. But Cardiff are also very shit.
Yeah.
And so Forest on a bit of a roll, aren't they? So 2-1 Forest, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 Forest. I can't see him not winning at Cardiff. I'm going for an East Midlands double this weekend. God.
Yeah.
How painful.
Leicester playing, that can be a triple as well.
No, they've got no game, so. Right, so Cian, you're back this week for Listen Up, and I understand you got a little bit of a surprise for us this week.
I have. You might have heard it, you might have seen me pushing it on Twitter. But it's a new song, and
don't spoil it.
All be revealed.
Yeah.
All be revealed later on. Exactly.
Right. So we'll see you later on for Listen Up. But for now, from me, Dad, from Cian, lad, back to the show. Yes, so I reeled him back in then by 8 points. A low scoring week though, 40-32 or whatever it was. So the gap is still quite big, but at least I have reeled it in a little bit. At the top, Gary Hamilton remains on top. He's been there all season. By 1 week, I think he was knocked off the top, but he's still on top. And at the bottom, there's still no change. So moving on, and I think it's time we did a little bit of this. The name game. Yes, so the name game. We give you another 5 team names for you to use in your 5-a-side league. And of course, they all have a little twist, but they're all so special in their own way. This week then, and the first one is courtesy of someone who did exactly what I said at the start of the show. They got involved. They left a comment on YouTube suggesting a team name for the 5-a-side team name. So his team name is Fool's Team Ahead. Perfect. However, of course, you will have to be top of the league to be that one. So it's Full Steam Ahead, Fool's Team Ahead. There's your first one. Courtesy of Joe Adama, who is also the producer of the Mind Aid Christmas single. There you go. Little link for you there. Beautiful. So number 2, Outer Milan. Number 3, Boca Seniors. Yes. Number 4, very clever one on a French team name, Toulouse or not Toulouse. Yes, that is the question, but we're not going to go there. And number 5, Ivory Toast. Beautiful. We like that. And very relevant, what with the AFCON going on as it stands. So 5 more wonderful team names coming up for you on next week's show. But for now, I think it's time we had a little bit of this. Ah, the tones that tell us it's another Tales of the Unexpected. And it's a mashup. More to be revealed. So, back to the African Cup of Nations, and it's the last 16 tie between Minnows, Comoros and Cameroon. Now, Comoros, I had to Google where it was. I'd never heard of it. It's a tiny, tiny island off the coast of Africa. But they qualified for the AFCON. They were there. Incredibly, they got through the group and they drew Cameroon, the hosts, in the last 16. So now, Comoros are 132nd ranked in the world. So they're massive, massive underdogs. But disaster struck. There was a COVID outbreak in the squad. Now, I need to go to my notes for the names more as much as anything else. So goalkeeper Ali Ahmada was ruled out. Backup keeper Moyad Usiani was ruled out with COVID. And believe it or not, third choice goalkeeper Salim Ben Boina was ruled out with a shoulder injury. So the obvious thing to do, you go to AFCON and you say, look, we've got 3 goalies out. It's a little bit out of the ordinary. Can we bring another one in? Nope. AFCON said absolutely not. So there was a glimmer of light on the morning of the game when Ahamada tested negative. But AFCON again dashed their hopes. The rules were the negative test had to be 48 hours before kickoff. So no, he couldn't play. So now we all half expected them to make a decision in the forthcoming hours that allowed Ahamada to play or another goalie be brought in. But no, AFCON weren't having any of it. They forced Comoros to play with an outfield player in goal. They're already missing other players because of COVID, and now their fullback is having to go in goal. So in between the sticks went this man, Chaka Al-Hadar. Normally a left back is in between the sticks. To make it even more difficult, 7 minutes into the game, Comoros had a man sent off. So they're down to 10 men as well. Now, I know you're expecting a landslide at this stage, but no. What a fight they put up. They were 2-0 down going into the last 10 minutes. And they actually pulled a goal back to get it to 2-1. Incredible. They almost pulled off it'd have been the most incredible shock of all. But I think, to be honest, that was a tales of the unexpected. But I think it's fair to say, for the boys from Comoros, they deserve this. 4D Comoros, well deserved, fantastic effort. And Mr. Arteta, Mr. Klopp, you take note, please. You don't have to run off crying every time a couple of players can't play. Anyway, zooming in, and we're back with a musical guest this week as we were joined by Alex Ohm along with his bass player Hannah as we talk music, their love of Aston Villa, and there'll also be a clip of them action halfway through the clip. So it's a new thing. I've mixed it up, putting it in the middle of the clip. So there'll be a talk about the music, a clip of them in action, and then the talk about the football. So without further ado, here's zooming in with Alex Ohm and bass player Hannah. So here we are, another zooming in, and this week I'm delighted to say we are joined by Alex, and hopefully I've got this right, Ohm.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, and bass player from the band, Hannah, as well. How are we both?
Good evening, how are we doing?
Not too bad at all, thank you, mate. Thank you for coming on the show, first off.
Thanks for having us.
So we'll come on to your love of, obviously, Aston Villa in a little while. But first of all, let's talk about your music. So there will be people out there who don't know about Alex Ohm, what the band's all about. So the sales floor is yours. Sell us your music.
Well, I mean, I invite people to come and check it out, man. It's a bit of a mix, really. You reckon? So yeah. People always say, what's your music like? I reckon, it's got a lot of different sort of styles, but it's mainly indie. It's like upbeat indie live music, like when we play live. So it's best to check us out live. Come and catch us at a show, because we're going to be up and down the country in 2022. So come and find us there and see what you think, man.
Well, because I'm a bit of a musical expert. What I do is I tend to listen to your last single, hammer the last single to death, and then I'll try and compare you to someone who people all know. But it's always a bit of a comparison with a twist. So I think yours, and I'm glad you said upbeat, because that leads in beautifully to what I'm about to say. So your latest single, which was last year, called Joy, good song, very good song. I've even wrote down a cheerful Sam Fender.
I'll take that, man.
Yeah,
Sam's a
Sam.
great musician, so I'll take that any day.
But
It's
yeah,
probably one of our-
definitely. There was definitely an upbeat Sam Fender vibe to it. It's really good. I loved it. It's so catchy. Everyone seems to put catchy songs on who comes on my show. Which is great. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's probably one of our catchiest and most upbeat. Yeah. But yeah, we wrote that like sort of mid-pandemic, and it was more of like just to try and lift people really, and look at the positives rather than the negatives, which everyone seems to be doing lately.
Oh, you don't have to go far to find them, do you?
Nah, it's everywhere you look, man.
So how was it received? How was that single received? Because also, like you say, you did it in a pretty dark time for the country. How did it go down with people?
Amazing, really, wasn't it? You know, we put it out. We couldn't really tour it because there were no gigs happening, and if they were, it was limited to sit-down gigs. We put it out, and it's amazing, really, because you know, it wasn't backed or championed by big stations, but people just seem to like take it on board on their own merit and share it far and wide, and I think that's a sign of a good song, really. If people are listening to it without people saying you've got to listen to this and sharing it themselves, I think it's a testament, really.
Yeah.
I think one of the great things, and I've spoken to other people who've been on here as well, said that the Twitter family, for want of a better phrase, is so good for new music and artists like yourself to get that word out to loads of people. I mean, whenever I put a shout out for people to come on the show, it's amazing how many people come forward and say, get these, get him, get them. And it's the music side of things is brilliant.
I mean, Twitter's probably the one that social media that I use least, really.
Well, see, I think there's two opposites with Twitter. With music, it's great. I think with music, it's fab. With football, it's an absolute hellhole, and it's the place not to go. Especially if you just lost.
Yeah. You're never going to get sympathy on there, mate.
Yeah, absolutely not. So, what are the plans in terms of 2022? What have you got planned for this year?
A busy year, I think. We're just in the studio at the moment, recording some songs, quite a batch of songs, so maybe that'll manifest and you might see a bit of a release later this year, but we'll talk about that when we've got more songs together, I suppose. But, yeah, we just, you know, it started off really nicely because we haven't got loads of gigs booked in at the beginning of the year, but we're using that time just to try and write, record, and then hopefully produce something bigger for the end of the year, really. We've got loads of shows, but, you know, a few festival dates and things already booked in, and we're getting tours and things planned, so hopefully you'll see us up and down the country this year. It's going to be a big year.
Being a bit of a social media stalker that I am, people don't have to wait long to go and see you because you're playing in Worcester in a couple of weeks' time.
That's right, man. Good work. It's our first away fixture of the season. The year. So yeah, it's not too far away, to be fair.
Yeah.
Worcester's not too far. Yeah, so we're playing the Mars Bar as part of Independent Venue Week and Uncover's 5th birthday. So that's the venue I've never played. So I'm really looking forward to getting. You know, we love playing Worcester.
Yeah, it's a great place to play, man. I played the venue years ago, and it's always goes down really well. It's a really good vibe down there. So, yeah,
fab.
Yeah, good man.
Good stuff. So, a little bit of fun with your music now. So you get to choose one each. If you could collaborate with any artist, who would you go for?
Who are you going to go for?
Oh, so artist that's about now or
Dead or alive, doesn't matter, anyone.
dead or alive?
Yeah.
Ooh, that makes it even harder. I think
I've got to go Fleetwood Mac. That's my ultimate favourite band. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac.
I think I'd have to say Bowie.
Yeah.
Just because I think anything goes then, and I think that's exciting, you know, just to have like no barriers or no limits. And he came out with some pretty freaky stuff, so
he did that. Now, really, obviously, because it's slightly difficult with one of the choices, but here's your either or choice. So you get the chance to collaborate with your artist, but you can never play music again, or you turn down that artist and carry on playing music. Which do you do?
I'd take Bowie, to be fair.
Yes.
Go out with the bang. You know.
Love it.
If you know, I'd collaborate with Bowie, do a Christmas song,
Yeah.
and just live on the royalties forever.
Sounds good.
Me and Noddy older, you see us.
And Hannah, are you sticking true to your musical roots, or are you doing the same thing?
Oh, I think if I played with Fleetwood, I'd sort of reach a bit of a peak of that. So I think you can only go down from that point. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Yeah, play with Fleetwood,
And then drop the music.
and then just live off that little moment for forever.
It's not. It wouldn't be a bad moment, to be fair, would it?
No, it'd be all right.
I start to worry now because if she plays with Fleetwood, then that's it.
You're looking for a bass player.
Game over. Yeah.
Right, before we get on to the football, let's have a little clip of the guys in action. Right, so there we go. That's your musical bit over. Time to move on to the serious bit, the football. So obviously both massive Villa fans. We'll get on to that goal shortly. But let's start with the appointment of Stevie G. I think that's the only place to start. So first of all, was it right to get rid of Dean Smith? And secondly, how excited by the Stevie G appointment?
I think in reflection,
Yeah.
it's probably the right time really because it was going south, wasn't it? You know what I mean? It's great to see how he's doing at Norwich. You know, he seems to have pulled out a few results for them and pulling them out of the depth of the Premier League. But yeah, at first, and we've both talked about this like quite a bit. When we heard about Stevie G, I was a bit sort of, I don't know.
I think it was a hard one because it obviously he managed Rangers, but without any disrespect, it's Rangers. It's a totally different league, and it was what he could do in the Prem. I think we said from the start he'll be able to attract players because of who he was as a player.
Yeah.
But from a managerial, we didn't know. It was like, well, we sort of don't know. It's like I've got no sort of excitement or disappointment because I don't know what's gonna happen. But from that point,
I mean, watching him now, like when he's coming, it just seems like a great fit, and he's such a great professional in terms of like you can see his determination, talk around the team and what he's the sort of standards he's setting for the team. I think it has been a great appointment, and with some of the signings and things we've had recently, can't fault it really.
I think the Coutinho signing was the one that made everybody go, "Oh, hang on a second."
Well, I mean,
shit.
Where did you see that coming from? I mean, at the beginning of the year, I would never have said that.
No.
Even like Dina's sort of coming from Everton, that's a great sign as well. And then there's talks of other players coming. Some of them are older players and things like that, but they're the right kind of calibre that you sort of want at a football team.
And even things like Martinez, he's obviously put a new 5-year deal down. That's a huge coup for us to keep him. And what it's nice, you can see that Gerrard, what he demanded from himself, is demanding from everybody else. Like in the Villa camp now, and it seems exciting again. And I think Smith, what he did was great. I think he just kind of run its course a little bit really, and I don't think he could have taken us any further. And it was the right time before anything kind of got too sour. It can play out too long, and it could have turned a bit, and it ended in the right point, I think.
Yeah. I have to say, I particularly liked on Saturday when you played Everton. I mean, there was so much that was amusing about that game. But the best bit was Gerrard and Ferguson shaking hands at the start and the end. I mean, they could barely look at each other shaking each other's hand.
And it's funny just seeing his little sort of looks at the crowd and
it's like you can see he thrives off it, can't you?
It's great, man. It's great to see that in a manager and just that character sort of in the Premiership. I think he deserves to be in the Premiership, and people say, oh, you're not going to have him long till he goes off to Liverpool, but he's got a job to prove, hasn't he? He's got he's got a point to prove, and
it's a bit of a win-win either way, isn't it? Because he's got obviously he said prove a point to get to Liverpool, and that's only going to propel us further up to where he potentially wants to be, or anything else. So it's a bit of a win-win, really. Yeah,
of course. Like I say, you can't lose, can you? If he does get the Liverpool job, he's clearly done a very good job with you guys. So it really is a no-lose situation for you, isn't it? So mid-table's looking fairly safe for this season. you are bringing in a raft of new signings, some of them very, very impressive. So looking ahead to the summer and next season, what are your expectations realistically going to be for next season?
I think everybody said Europe this season.
Yeah.
It is
Villa though. We do get ahead of ourselves.
yeah, we always say Europe, and then it's like the next season we'll go for Europe.
Yeah.
Next season we'll go for Europe.
So we've been saying that since '82.
Yeah. You know, top 6 finish would be great, but you know, it's a tough league, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing's guaranteed. You know, like Brentford came up and they've had a decent run at first. I thought they're going to surprise us all, man. They're going to like sort of do well, but you know they've had a few bad results lately. Yeah, I'd like to see top 6, but with with like teams like Newcastle and that having big money signings now, and it's getting to that point where teams are just getting some crazy signings that you'd never see coming. So you just don't know, do you?
I think realistically, top 8 would be. Yeah, but I'm still going to go top 6.
It's quite sad though how our football expectations have changed, isn't it? Because as you know, I grew up. You know, most of my football was watching early football was at like sort of late 80s, early 90s, and you know when Leeds got promoted and won the league in '92, we came up and thought we could win that league in 3 or 4 years. Now, I mean, top 8 realistically is probably as good as it's ever going to get again, unless some huge money mogul comes in. It's just hate it.
Yeah.
Anyway, which leads us nicely on to Leeds Villa. So Leeds Villa, there's never ever been, as long as I can remember, there's never been a rivalry with Leeds and Villa, ever. They're 2 big clubs in terms of support and history. We've always been okay with each other as far as I can remember. You dipped us in the Coca-Cola Cup final, whatever it was called, that time when Savo Milosevic hit his one and only shot into a net. But of course, then along came the game with Mr. Smith and Mr. Terry when your man went down injured up front and we let you have the goal and it all kicked off. And since then, it's been a real spiky rivalry. Do you think with Smith having gone, that'll have died down a little bit?
I don't know. There does seem to be a rivalry there now.
It's weird.
It is strange. Like I say, it's never been a thing before, but in the last few seasons, it's been pretty obvious, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
Think to be fair with Gerrard, if anything, it's probably going to intensify because it's Gerrard. He's going to get him up for it potentially more than Smith ever did. So yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. It's
like a local derby, but like 80 miles apart. It's the most bizarre, it's the most bizarre thing ever. And I think, I mean, the only thing I will say, I think, and as much as you were like, the fact that Grealish has gone will take a bit of the sting out of it because he was clearly our massive hate figure. He was the one we went for every time we played you. And with him gone, that will, I think, dampen it a little bit because there isn't that personality there that we can attack, basically, not for 90 minutes. But we are the first game after the international break, of course.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I mean, feels like we've sort of we've had a few, like we drew like the match before last and we won the last one, but it's still been a bit of a grueling sort of match against Everton.
Yeah.
Second half wasn't that great. It was good, like, you know, we battled and we fought for it, but you want to see like comfortable victories and.
What are they?
Waiting for that. but you know, I mean, Leeds have had like a crazy amount of like injuries and people out. So I mean, it depends if you get more of the squad back after the break. I don't know. You might come back like a different team. Like I can't really say how it's going to end.
It's been mad, and when you put a 15-year-old on the bench, you know things are getting difficult.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That's the thing, though. But then you look at like Arsenal, and it's like, hang on, lads, like you're taking the mick a little bit, aren't you? And yeah, I think it's been a bit of a strange couple of weeks with the whole postponements, really. Yeah, I feel sorry for Leeds because I really enjoy watching them. But yeah, it's been tough to see that.
Yeah, I think this season for most, I think any club below 7th or 8th, it's just about getting through this season and getting through to next season because it's been such a mess. You know, I think you know, obviously our friends from the northeast of Saudi Arabia are now got a lot of money they're throwing at it, so they're going to start climbing. Might get twitchy bum time again.
So close.
Yeah, the bottom's really, really good.
Talking of your rivals, obviously the blue half of Birmingham, which you know they do still have a team. Don't be mean. So genuinely, would you leave them down in the Championship, or would you rather they got good again and got back up in the Premier League so you could play them again?
For comedy value, I think it's nice just to see them stay down there. To be honest, all 10 of them down there.
I quite like seeing the Midlands teams up in the Prem.
Yeah. Love the
But
derbies.
only if we beat them. Otherwise, they can go away. Yeah, no, I like to see the Birmingham and the Midlands teams doing well. As long as we're doing better.
The derbies used to be great, man, because you'd have Albion, Wolves, you'd have Blues, and then Villa. So it is a bit strange not having them up there. And I'd like to see them back up there and compete.
Just something different about a derby.
Just so we can get 6 points, really.
I'd rather them in the Premier League than Burnley, that is for sure.
Yeah, too much claret and blue up there at the moment.
There we go. See, we've even got a reason to relegate them. We've got one claret and blue already. We don't need another one. Right.
Plenty enough.
Let's move on to your six-a-side team. So this is the bit, a five-a-side team even. The musicians all love. So quite simple rules. You have to have seen the players play live. One goalkeeper, one defender, two midfielders, one striker. And unfortunately for you guys, because you're part of the band, it's one team between the two of you, which makes it more difficult because you don't have to argue about the team. So
it was hard, man. It was hard. It was hard.
Ronaldo like this, haven't we?
Just having like, you know, going backwards and forwards and going, but how about, you know?
Yeah.
the best one we ever had, and this is not a slight on anyone else's, but we had two guys on from a band called Volker who were based up in Edinburgh. One was a Hibs fan and one was a Hearts fan. And they were literally having to come to an agreement over 5 players. And honestly, even during the show, they were arguing about the players that were in the team. It was absolute class. So at least you both support the same team.
Yeah, that's handy. I'll take that.
So let's go with your goalkeeper.
Yeah, went Martinez. He's current, but
it was him or Bozzy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With the two.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of like tarnished himself a bit, didn't he, Bozzy at the end? But great goalie. But Martinez, I love his backstory, man. Like just, you know, going from Arsenal, not getting a game, and then coming to us and being an absolute worldie. So and he's a great character.
It's weird of Arsenal because how many goalies did they sign trying to find a good goalie when they had him all along? It's just bizarre.
It is crazy. You wonder what's going on.
You think when Leno was getting the nod over him, and it's like I don't get it. Like,
it's crackers.
It's absolutely mental. But yeah, I love him. I think he's a great character.
Yeah, he's a character as well, isn't he?
Yeah, proper man.
He is a character.
It's when he was trying to get Ronaldo to take the penalty again. You take that, man. You take it.
So when he starts dancing in front of the Stretford end at the end, I was like, legend, man.
Yeah, no, he's one of those players. I think even as an opposing fan, you can't help but like him because we all love a bit of shithousing, and as long as he doesn't do it in a couple of weeks' time, but we all love a bit of shithousing. And I love that one at Old Trafford was absolutely superb. Calling out Ronaldo to take the penalty was just beautiful.
It was brilliant, man.
It was
great.
brilliant.
But that's the sort of thing that sticks in your mind, and it's like that was brilliant. So yeah, we'll take Martinez.
Good shout. So who are we going for as your defender in front of him?
We've got one now. Oh, what do you think?
We've got one. We've got 2 defenders. Or one?
No, one. 2 midfielders.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Our maths must be shit, man.
We had too many players.
We've got 1, 2, 2, 1. That's 6.
We like the advantage.
Oh man, that's beginner's maths. So we said.
It's Melberg or Southgate then.
Oh man, do you reckon? It's got. We've
tough
thrown
call.
ourselves into this situation. Do you want to say Southgate?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I think Southgate.
Yeah.
I love Melberg, I love what he did when he like sort of finished playing there.
Yeah.
With the t-shirts and stuff.
No,
I think Southgate probably as like a Villa icon. I think he's probably just about tips it really.
Yeah.
And Southgate, obviously, a lot of the current generation will only know him as the England manager and as a manager. But as a player, he could step into the current Premier League. The way he played with carrying the ball out from the back, he could easily have played in the current Premier League setup, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
he was great. He was so good with his feet for the era he was in as well. For a centre half, he was.
It's great.
Yeah, really comfortable.
Yeah,
I love Southgate.
We'll take, yeah, and he's one that sort of stands out for me, like as like in memory really. His character, isn't he?
And do you want him as your next Villa manager?
I don't know. Actually, I'm not even. That ain't even crossed my mind, to be honest.
No, it's weird, isn't it, seeing international managers? Because obviously he did a little bit before he got the international job. It didn't really go too well for him, from what it was. I don't know.
I'd probably take him though, like, because it's a lot of experience and he's had a lot of weight on his shoulders. I think that sort of stands the testament that he can deal with the pressure and sort of go against fans and things turning on him, because he's had that with England, hasn't he? And he's come back again and time after time and carried on. And I think he's had a lot of success with England. Not quite finished the job, but he's done well.
But he's taken into I'm Scottish and I quite like Gareth Southgate. I think what he's done's fantastic, really. I mean, he's taken to a semi-final and a final, but the caning the man takes is unbelievable. It's truly staggering. The amount of he gets slaughtered all the time. It's just pretty staggering. But
sometimes I do wonder, like, I don't know, some of his decisions in the last tournament. I was a bit like, and I wonder if that, I don't know, in the Premiership it's a bit more cutthroat in it. So
yeah.
Right.
Go on. Sorry.
Because teams are getting some top class managers in, they're still not doing the job or doing as well as they thought they'd do. So who do you take, really? I don't, like we're saying, if it wasn't for Stevie G, I don't know who else we would have taken on, or who else would have taken the Villa job, really.
No.
You could just do a Watford and just keep appointing them every 15 games or so, and just till eventually you get one right.
Because they've got rid of Ranieri too.
Yeah, he's gone today as well, hasn't he? So, right. So let's go with the first of your midfielders.
We've got to go Jackie Grealish.
Yeah,
he's got to be in there.
Am I allowed to boo just because you said his name? I felt my laptop fall over as you said his name. It just
saw your face drop like.
Not going in.
They love him really. They love him really.
So, from an opposition perspective, as an opposition fan, the perception of Grealish is he throws himself to the ground an awful lot, and he's a great ball carrier, but defensively he's not that great. So that's my sort of opposition perspective. You've watched him week in, week out for Villa. How far off am I?
I think you don't see the amount of work rate he did. I think that was his I don't think people realise quite how much he did sort of off the ball. And defensively, he used to cover quite a bit. To be fair,
I think when he left, you did see the gaps that the team sort of had and what he did for the team.
And I think he exposed. Target got exposed a little bit more when Grealish left.
Yeah.
Right.
Just from the cover side of things, and I think mostly because you had three players on him all the time.
Yeah.
So he took a massive chunk of the opposition team out. They're always looking for him. So you had a bit more space from that respect. Did he throw himself? I mean,
nah, he was tackled. He was fouled all the time, wasn't he? That's no such thing. No such thing. I know what you mean, but I think I see, and the thing that's frustrating about modern football is that it's like tactical fouls, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
he's not alone.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
He's very good at getting himself in between the player and the ball.
Yeah.
But now as well, you watch kids play Sunday football or whatever. And the kids are there, and they fly over on the floor, and they're like, "Griff!" And it's like they see these, like, you know, they're the role models, aren't they? And it's actually no, it's just like something happens.
It's mad, man. I remember watching. It was one of the Euros of the World Cups from like probably like mid noughties, and it was, I think, the carling advert when the like ref blew the whistle and they all went down and was like rolling on the floor like as a training ground session, and it was like laughed at like 10 years ago, and now they're like, no, this is like, oh, it's part of the game. I'm like, is it though? 'Cause
It's not part of my game.
no.
But joking aside, obviously he's a Villa boy. He was obviously going to be adored by you guys, and clearly he did a brilliant job for you, really, didn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was hard when he went, really, because it was like, oh, you sort of, a lot of people hope, you know, that he'd sort of turn the money down and stay loyal to the club, but it's hard, isn't it? Like, you know, if somebody, I don't know, like you say, if like a big band came up to us now and said, right, sounds like, you know, John Whistle's out on bass, he's going to step in or something, like, nah, I'm going to stay and play with the guys. Like,
I think as well, when you've got like, as much as obviously money was like a massive factor, but when you've got Pep as your potential manager, you're playing with De Bruyne and
yeah, you guarantee
like Silva and
Champions League
Bernardo,
and stuff,
like
yeah.
you can't.
It's hard.
I wouldn't have turned it down.
No.
You know what I mean? As much as I love my boyhood club, like
But saying that though, it is, in some respects, it's been nice seeing him go, because then the teams had to become more of a team rather than just circling around one player. And you know, it has exposed weaknesses, but then they brought new players in to fill those roles. And like we've got, like, it's nice to see, like, obviously you've got Coutinho now and Buendia, Watkins. They're all. It was almost like they were sort of in his shadow before.
Yeah.
Like, nobody else cared what they did. It was like, oh, Jack's here.
you know, from a business point of view, we're never going to get that money from ever again. So at least it's enabled us to rebuild properly. And, and when he was out, like last season, we crumbled. You know, there was games when we played when we were okay without him, but we didn't know what to do because we hadn't got the players to be able to break teams down and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, it's one of them, innit?
So who are you putting alongside young Jack then?
I do say no. We got Townsend, yeah.
Andy Townsend,
Yeah.
the famous Irishman.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Midfield was a hard one. I think that was the one that we struggled on the most.
I mean, there's so many like great legends, really.
Yeah.
But that, like, the first time I saw him play was in the Coca-Cola Cup against Arsenal, the Wednesday night. So yeah, he was just a grafter as well, you know.
Tough player.
And again, just a figure that always, I think, he's a Villa legend, isn't he?
Yeah.
Really? So yeah, again, but we could have had a number of players, and we went backwards and forwards between who we could have. But Townsend, put him in there.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he could do it all, couldn't he? He could run, he could pass, he could tackle. He was good in the air. He was a genuinely very good all-round midfielder when he was a class act.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Right, we'll let you have that. We'll let you have that one. So who you got? If it's not Peter With, I'm going to be disgusted.
Kevin Phillips.
No, put Heskey up the top.
Esker,
yeah. So who are you going for up top then?
Well, this was a tough one, but I think we both in the end went for Angel, Juan Pablo Angel. Got some good memories seeing that guy play. And like, because we're saying, like, obviously Gabby is like a Villa icon, and like he's like scored so many goals and that, but I don't know, there's something about Angel. I think he had a classy way of playing, didn't he?
He did, and I think he could score from anywhere really. And he's great first touch, and he was the one season I think we put 20 odd goals down for a couple of seasons, and he was like he was a great forward. I liked Juan Pablo.
Yeah, it was just a different way of playing when he had that sort of Argentinian sort of finish. It's nice.
He was very unpredictable, wasn't he? And there is something about a South American striker with long hair that they've clearly put something in to make it look greasy and wet before the game. But there is something about, we used to have Becchio, and everyone loved Becchio and he just an Argentinian striker, had long hair, and he just looked the part. And Angel was exactly the same. And he you're right. I mean, I'm glad you put him in over Savo. I'd have been disgusted if you'd have put Savo in. That'd have been laptop lid with a.
Did you say about Savo? Savo. Savo. Yeah, he got a lot of time. That era though was great. It was a great time, man. There's some good football. Some good football. It was a different game altogether back then, but it was Angel was awesome, man.
It is weird how different again. If you ever watch any of that sort of 90s stuff now and compare it to what football is now, honestly, it really is. And I know when we used to watch it in the 90s, people used to go, "Oh, watch the 80s and the 70s. It's so different." But genuinely, it's like changed again so far the other way. It's unbelievable.
It is crazy. But like even down to like, the kit they wear, like baggy kits and obviously you got the crazy hairstyles and stuff. But then there's no like VAR and stuff like that. And then it was just more of a free flowing game, and things were let go and. I think simpler times.
Yeah, I think especially like the noughties when you'd got like the Invincibles, like the Arsenal era, and that like Arsenal United rivalry where there was tackles flying in that were let go, but it was still a pretty game. Like it's still a beautiful game to watch. Like the flair players had started to come through a bit more, and it was still quick, but it was a lot more free flowing. And
it's good.
And you weren't going to escape Roy Keane, were you? So it was a good. I think it was a bit more of a rounded game. I like that era. It's
a good proper football battles, which is in all the right sense of the word. Guys, this has been fantastic. I've loved having you guys on. If you've enjoyed watching the guys, please go and download their music. I will put a link on my Twitter to their music, but you'll easily find them on Spotify. And it's Ohm, it's OHM. If you're struggling to how to spell his name and find him on Spotify, you'll soon find him. Guys, you've been great. I wish you no luck at all in your next match, obviously. I hope you get turned over.
True sportsmanship there.
Clearly nothing personal. No, there's no sportsmanship. That's what this show's all about. Total bias. But for now, for me and the guys, it's back to the show. But obviously, I'm going to talk to them off air. So we'll see you later, guys. Back to the show. So there we are then, great pair to chat to, reminiscing about when football was football back in the good old days and going on, but when players were players and it was just fab. So do the honourable thing, head over, download some of their music, give it a listen. It's Ohm, OHM, if you can't find it, just go and search it out. There's some cracking music on there. On next week's Zooming In, we will be joined by Mike Long from the Bolt from the Blue podcast. He's a Man City fan. They are our Road to Wembley FA Cup team. So Mike is coming on representing Man City. We'll have a little bit of fun with him being a Man City fan, but to be honest with you, I think he's going to have the last laugh, isn't he? Let's be truthful. So new feature klaxon, and I'm going to use my very expensive part of So yes, new feature klaxon. So starting next week, we will have the Crap Kit Cup. So how will the Crap Kit Cup work, I hear you say? Reidy, how will the Crap Kit Cup work? I'll tell you what, I wish I'd come up with another name for it, because Crap Kit Cup is not easy to say. Anyway, we will find 32 crap kits from all over the world, and they will go into a draw and they will go head to head, and you guys will decide who is the crappiest kit of all time. So next week we will show the first two kits on the screen. It will go on social media. You will vote on who has the crappiest kit of the two. The crappiest one goes through. 32 teams down to one until we reveal the crappiest kit of all time. And maybe, just maybe, if we can get hold of the crappiest kit of all time, maybe I'll wear one on the show, and maybe we'll give it away as a little prize for a little competition that we can run. So there we go, that's next week. But now, for this week, it's the pitter-patter of tiny paws, which can only mean one thing. It's time for Ted. I'm not a baby, Reidy. I don't pitter-patter when I walk. Okay, Ted, it's just an expression. What's the matter with you? It's bastard freezing, Reidy, and I'm not going to lie, I absolutely hate it. I need some heat in my life. It's hard to disagree with that one, Ted. Although, in fairness, it is what's commonly known as winter. All right, state of the bleeding obvious champion. Okay, God, you've got one on you this week, haven't you? So let's cut to the chase then. Is there any nominations for your Little Knob of the Week award? Easy for you to say, Reidy. Thank you, Ted. Well, I mean, we have to say AFCON, don't we, for making Comoros play with a fullback in goal? 100%, Ted. Although they did win 4D as a bit of a consolation, you know, off the back of it, don't forget. Oh, yeah, what a massive consolation for them, Reidy. Getting you going do instead of going through to the last 8 of the AFCON. Yeah, okay, Ted, brilliant. So if they're not them, who is scooping the award then? Well, Reidy, it's only a second-time winner. You're joking, Ted. Who's done it? Surely not. Who's done it this time? Our old friend Craig Pawson. Our friend Mr. Pawson. So Craig Pawson, you may remember he won it early in the year for his changing his mind halfway through because he waited to see how badly injured someone was before sending a player off. Well, he was on the VAR at Crystal Palace v Liverpool on Sunday. Now, in real time, I have a bit of sympathy for officials getting decisions wrong because it's difficult. Players cheat. There's no two ways. Players will do anything to con the referee. That's half the problem. But we digress. Mr. Pawson, he really did step up to the plate because when Diogo Jota ran into the Palace keeper on Sunday, Mr. Pawson took 2 or 3 minutes looking at the same video footage as all of us who all went, that's not a penalty. He's just stepped into his path and fallen over. And somehow he came to the decision that that was a penalty. Nobody thought it. No, I've not met one person on social media, in real life, nowhere, who actually thinks it was a penalty. So it's fair to say, after all the checking of the TV, all the slow motions, everything, Craig Pawson, you are rightly this week's Little Knob of the Week for the second time. Bloody hell, Reidy, that was in danger of turning into Little Shouty Man. I know, Ted, I had to hold myself back, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, I'm going to be back later because I'm going to guess the age of the Italian stallion. Okay. Italian stallion. I'm not sure that's what... I think his name was just Paolo Conti. Anyway, time for a bit of musical interlude as we head on over and see what Kian says we need to be listening up to this week.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another Kian Says Listen Up, where I'll give you a song to listen to this week. And this week, I'm going to give you one, but then at the end I'm just going to chuck another one in there as well. So this week's song is Make It Last by the Continentals, who are a newer band. It's their first single, but it's getting a good reception on Twitter. It's gone down very well. The guitars on it are brilliant. And they're getting, you know, Tim Booth from James. He is in James, isn't he? I'm sure, he's definitely in James. He said it's a good song. He likes the guitars, so, you know, it's good praise. I say it's good guitars, just as good. But yeah, Make It Last by the Continentals. Get on it. It's a great song, and push the lads, support them, because they're only a small band, so they could do with all your support. And then the Sherlock's new album, World I Understand, give that a listen as well, because it's really good. Cheers.
So there we go, some brand new music for you this week. A brand new band called The Continentals, called Make It Last. So head on over, download it, give it a listen, and let's see if we can make their first song a biggie and a hit. So, Lineal European Cup. So there was only the European Cup last weekend. The boys from Armenia, Bielefeld, they were up against Eintracht Frankfurt away. Well, they very, very impressive. 2 goals in the opening half hour from Patrick Wimmer and Alessandro Schupf gave them a 2-0 lead, which they comfortably held on to for the rest of the game, meaning Armenia Bielefeld retained the Lineal European Cup going into the international break. They're not back in action until the 5th of February, when they will go for a third defence when they entertain our old friends Borussia Mönchengladbach. So we'll see how that goes. The Lineal UEFA Cup, however, does return this weekend. So you may remember it ended up in Hungary. So Ferencváros won it. They then lost to Debrecen. So Debrecen are the defending Lineal UEFA Cup holders. They face high-flying Kisvárda. Yes, I know we all know loads about both those clubs. So it's Debrecen against Kisvárda. Debrecen, the current holders. Let's see who holds the Lineal UEFA Cup after this weekend. So, Ted is on his way back, which can only mean one thing. It's time to reveal the age of our how old this week. So, Ted, are we feeling confident that you have applied your wrinkles theory correctly this week? Yep, applied it this week. Definitely right with the old Italian stallion. You realise that only the Italian part is right with that statement. How do you know? He may well be a stallion. Shall we ask Mrs. Conti? No, Ted, let's not ask Mrs. Conti. Let's just test out your theory and see how many wrinkles how old you think Paolo Conti is. Reidy, I don't think. I know it. He's 29. Well, Ted, let's see, shall we? So when this photo of Paolo Conti was taken, he was indeed 29 years old, Ted. You've actually got it right. Told you, Reidy, my new system is foolproof. But Ted, it's not foolproof because you got it wrong last week. You actually got it wrong. But that was because you did some airbrushing of some of the wrinkles. Yeah, Ted, that's exactly because I've really got A, the time, and B, the knowledge to know how to airbrush somebody. Do you not think I'd get rid of mine if I was going to do that? Yeah, very good. We'll see you next week anyway, Reidy. Yeah, see you next week, Ted. Ta-ra for now. I need a proper sidekick. Anyway, that's another week completed. I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. If you have and you are new to the show, please click subscribe down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate every single second that you watch, genuinely do. But for now, if you're all on board the BTFM bus, it's ding ding, next stop, Thursday the 3rd of February for what will be episode 73. And as always, stay safe, guys.